In any case, also joining us this afternoon is our second guest. We've got Dindo Manhit, CEO and founder of the Stratbase Group. Welcome back to Storycon. Hi, Dindo. Good to see you.
Hi,
Hi, Dindo.
good afternoon to everyone.
I
Good
just
afternoon, Dindo.
I just
Good
saw
afternoon.
Dindo a few days ago because they had a major conference on the 9th anniversary of the arbitral ruling on the West Philippine Sea, South China Sea.
Yes.
So, which
Nandun ka
was a
pala.
fantastic event.
Andun ka pala,
And
Reg.
congratulations, ha?
Andun ka pala.
Loko to si Ronald. Nagkita nga kami and I was trying to avoid that. Nagtatago ko but then he saw me. No, I'm kidding. Dindo, let's talk about trust ratings first. This is the survey that Stratbase commissioned. To recap, President Marcos' trust ratings jumped 10 points. We're now at 48%. This is for the month of June. For Vice President Sara Duterte, it's more or less unchanged. Nasa 61% siya. And then also House Speaker Martin Romualdez received a trust rating of 34%. That's an 8-point increase from his previous rating. So, with these surveys, they always give us a snapshot of a moment in time, right? So what are
Yeah.
these numbers saying about the current public sentiment?
You have to take into consideration that the survey was conducted last week of June. So quite recent, and also it marks the end of third year of the Marcos administration, and it's also one of the first surveys after the May 2025 election. So we felt it's good to ask a question about trust. I've always valued trust over performance in terms of asking that, because if I use a Filipino term, pag pinagkakatiwalaan ka, people tend to see you performing, but when you lose trust among the people, and I've seen this first in 2003, actually, when I first ran this question on, at the time, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo's leadership, how she was running for an incumbent, but the trust level was quite low, and it reflected on her performance also. In this case, we see Marcos now recovering from really a downward trend, especially after the arrest of President Duterte in March 11. That's when we saw him in a monthly, really being affected by that. And it's a strong recovery going into his third year. But critical to what we see here is that there is an opportunity to grow more because there are undecided. Undecided can be turned into something positive if you see him, I believe, delivering on key concerns of the public. And the key concerns in our other survey, not Social Weather Station, but it's Pulse Asia, we continue to see economic issues is a top concern of Filipino people. Pressure on
Dindo?
the wages. Now, wages is number 2. It went up. But I don't know when Pulse is coming out with that. They just briefed us this morning. So you'd see that economics is dominating. And also, of course, on the part, I'll relate it to VP Sara, she recovered since February. Why? Because the impeachment did not proceed. That means the accusations against her, I believe, have given her a respite. So it will depend on how the 20th Congress moves forward with the impeachment, and see if her numbers will be affected by the impeachment proceedings, and also the evidences that will be brought out during the impeachment proceedings.
Dindo, ano tingin mo yung dahilan? Bakit may kaunting pagtaas sa approval rating si President Bongbong? Dahil previous dito sa survey na ito, ay yung oldest survey firms natin, SWS at Pulse, parang record low.
Yes.
Yung approval rating ni PBBM, nasa siya, around mid-20s. Yung almost parehas yung SWS at Pulse.
Yes.
Anong tingin mo yung major reason? Dahil nitong midterm election, medyo hindi naman ganun kaganda yung resulta para sa gobyerno. Ano yung dahilan? But in spite of that, ay tumaas yung kanyang ratings.
The rating of the president has to be seen from the attacks against him. We have seen that in March. And the attacks is happening in cyberspace. So if we will use our other data in Stratbase, which is our data analytics, we saw it peak March, then it had an effect on the public perception by April. By June, we noticed, so this has nothing to do with SWS, no? We are seeing the narrative, the discourse in social media. We saw it as we ended June 30. The narrative of Marcos is slowly being felt by the public. That means napapaliwanag yung mga inter-public programs sila, yung mga ginagawa nila, and even in terms of inflation, they feel people. I saw in some data that people are feeling that their projects working, like in 20 peso rice. No, but the one that really brought him down was the narrative, a targeted narrative. So the survey, I think, captured quiet time. What do I mean by that? Because it's the last week of June when not much was discourse. So I always say that ito yung tunay na feeling ng tao. You're not being shaped by the noise that you see in social media. Just like our question on impeachment in February last year and the ICC arrest, or this year, we like to ask questions when nobody is really being hyped or they're no organized. No, we feel that there's really this organized group in social media that is affecting public perception. Then it will affect survey results also.
Well,
Yun ang itatanong ko din doon, nag-plateau na ba yung ano? Kasi we all know na naapektuhan sila ng yung pag-aresto kay Duterte, biglang tumaas si Sara, biglang nagkaroon ng sympathy, and it even affected, people think it affected the vote in May.
Yes,
Pero ngayon nagpa-plateau na wala na yung mga issue, di ba? You think that's a factor dito sa pag-improve ng ratings ni President Marcos?
It is a very big factor, and that factor is due that these are all organized noise. Kasi maybe tumigil ang kampanya, maybe mabigat ang resources for this kind of campaign. And I think that's where the benefit is. So now, an opportunity for our own government, as they organize themselves under a new leadership in PCO, to really set the narratives, be more factual about what they're doing, and really also compete in the cyberspace, because that's where they're losing right now.
Dindo, since you mentioned the impeachment, no, because you also did commission a survey on that, 66% say that Vice President Sara should face the challenges through the formal impeachment process. In short, they want the impeachment to continue. Can we have that chart if we can, so the viewers can see? 59, when you break down those numbers, 59% say yes, they knew about the impeachment before, pero 41% said they only found out about it now. I'm wondering if you could help make sense of that for us.
That means they are, of course, again, these are snapshots of respondents all over the country. So it's possible that the 41% just heard about it, and worse, might even heard or read about it in social media also, where the narrative is shaped by whoever is posting and sharing. But that's us, we just treat it as that. That there is that, at least there is that awareness now, and within that awareness level, they believe at least 6 or nearly 7 out of 10 would like VP Sara to address these charges. It doesn't follow that they are for the impeachment of VP Sara, but they want this process, this constitutional process, to happen, to address the charges against her. So I see this as an opportunity on one hand for Sara Duterte to defend herself, but also it's a challenge to those who filed and voted for her impeachment in the House to really come out with evidences to support the case that they have filed and submitted to the Senate.
That's an
Dindo,
important
On the other hand,
distinction.
siya pa rin ang most trusted official according to your survey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Explain that. Siya pa rin.
Balikan lang
because,
natin
Annie,
yung trust chart, the chart if we can.
Tahimik on the charges. Remember, she went down to 48 to 50% already
Yes.
of December, January. But people know about the impeachment, but the details of those charges are not quite clear. So a question now, will it affect her trust? if those evidences, based on the charges, the one that was filed, and are there real evidences, then we might see a change.
Dindo, nabanggit mo na isa sa dahilan or major reason bakit medyo tumataas yung approval rating ng presidente ay dahil sa communication, sa narrative. Medyo nagbabago yung kanilang narrative at saka communication strategy. Pero kapapalit lang nung kanilang communications head.
Walang effect yung communications head nila. It's possible also that, remember, quite aggressive si Undersecretary Claire Castro. And I think it's not effective on one hand, but it's quite more of fighting back. Imagine if you fighting back maybe the negative narrative, but imagine if you even add now with the new PCO secretary more factual, positive initiatives of government. So I think that can still increase the president's approval rating. Just to harness the different programs of government funded by the 2025 budget and properly communicated. At beyond that traditional media, because really, there's data that we just got briefed about it, that the source of news now for at least 75% of Filipinos is online, be it Facebook and online news. So imagine the power of social media. So you have to fight also at that level for them. That's what I was referring Ronald earlier. There might be a pushback there. There might be followers of the president now following the narrative of being, remember, Yusek Claire daily is pushing back on all these attacks. So hopefully the new PCO leadership naman can put some content in terms of public programs, initiatives of this government that will strengthen them more.
I think it's an important distinction that you made there, which is most people think the impeachment trial should proceed, but they're not necessarily in favor of it, right? Which tells us that, okay,
so
people...
they're not in favor of maybe convicting her at this moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Pero at least people understand, okay, the constitutional mandates that the trial should forthwith proceed. But conversely, on the other side of it, and I don't know if we were able to make this into a chart, but nevertheless, meron question, is the Senate delaying the impeachment trial? And 44% said they strongly believe that the Senate is, and the rest is medyo mixed bag. 22 undecided, 25 somewhat or strongly don't believe it's being delayed, and 9 don't know enough. What do we make of that?
It's the Senate really, if this continues, might affect their trust as an institution. I think it's quite clear to Filipinos now, maybe because of the news discourse on what is happening in the impeachment, really wants the Senate to proceed. You cannot simply be a tool of the person being charged, in this case, VP Sara, of stopping this from happening. So that's where I see it. So that's why there's 44% of people are. I see them as frustrated for them to say that they are. It's been delayed by the Senate, but it's good also that as we cross to the 20th Congress, it should be a lesson to the new Senate and the new House of Representatives. Come their convening by July 28. We hope that it can guide them. That's why we started asking these questions.
Going into the SONA, Dindo, ano yung unsolicited advice mo na dapat maging agenda ng Presidente to sustain this incremental increase in his approval rating?
I think he needs to focus on what is critical to the Filipino people right now, and we simply go back to basic needs. When I speak of economics, I continue to speak of really high cost of living for our people, presyo ng bilihin. No? Inflation, as a technical term, might be going down, but the reality for the public is mahal ang bilihin. Then mahal bilihin is connected to wages and also to actual jobs itself. So those three things, presyo, trabaho, kita, as one top economist used to say, I'm referring to former Secretary Habito, has used that term quite often, continues to challenge the president more than other presidents now. because of yung feeling of the challenge. But also on the social side, we've been seeing the demand for better healthcare, better educational services. So critical is really the execution of existing government programs that best address public needs.
So still coming
Anong
back to
nakikita
that.
mong headwinds, Dindo? Halimbawa, apart from the impeachment, mag-uumpisa na naman yung budget deliberations eh.
Yeah.
And naapektuhan sila, I think even the administration said, naapektuhan sila ng criticism over the 2025 budget eh.
Yeah.
Sa tingin mo, that's a headwind?
Quite sad that the 2025 budget might have had its own challenges, diba? Last
Yeah.
December, if you remember that. But now, the best way to address that is, can they really be more transparent in the process? No? Considering every administration has not been transparent when it goes to the BICAM. We all know that. No? But there was really this campaign that was started by certain groups, but was jumped into by allies of former President Duterte. So it turned into really a strong social media campaign against the government, which affected their performance rating, especially as we entered the election season of February.
Yeah.
The first tip. So for me, that headwind can best be addressed if both houses of Congress will show transparency in the whole process, show transparency in the BICAM especially.
Yeah, that's what we're clamoring
and
for.
become really a responsive legislature, responsive to the needs of the public. So we have to challenge them.
Yeah.
We have to challenge both houses of Congress.
Yeah, and our challenge is full transparency, not just a portion of the bicameral deliberations. We're gonna have to leave that there. Thank you so much for your insights today. That's Dindo Manhit, founder and CEO of the Stratbase Group. Thank you, Dindo.
Salamat, Dindo.
Thanks, Dindo.